welcome to another episode of Coming Up Milhouse. Today we talk about Season 5, Episode 19, Sweet Seymour Skinner's Baadassss song.
Oh yeah, here's a Vincent. He's going to take off probably, but this is the episode where Seymour Skinner gets in a little bit of trouble in the school with Superintendent Chalmers, and it has to do with Bart bringing Santa's little helper in for show and tell, and it doesn't go too well, and he gets fired. Yes, and then he has to learn how to live without being the principal, and the children of Springfield Elementary get a terrifying new principal.
From now on, things are going to be very, very different around here. With your new principal, Ned Flanders.
The worst.
That's right, in the form of Ned Flanders. And yeah, it's funny stuff, man. I like the whole thing about Skinner going back into the Army. I'm sure we'll talk about that. There's some good things in there. So why don't we kick it off with our first line? What's your first line?
My first line, more testicles, more iron. I'm just going to get it started with that one. Lunch Lady Doris.
I got this big vat of horse testicles.
Yep. I'm sure your impression was really great right now when I just brought that one as my first line. But yes, Lunch Lady Doris is preparing school lunch in a big container, 55-gallon bucket of grade A horse meat with more testicles, and that was her line. More testicles, more iron.
More iron. Hey, you gotta get your iron somehow, right?
I guess so. What's your first line?
Alright, so mine's right at the beginning of the episode, and I picked it because it's relevant to what we're doing today. And it's Bart showing movies, from years before. And Marge doesn't want him to take that to school for show and tell. And she says, well, how would you like it if in 20 years people were laughing at something you did? And Bart says, not likely. And here we are more than 20 years later talking about the episode.
This, in fact, is the 100th episode of The Simpsons. And it's season 5. Episode 19 is the 100th episode. So they celebrated their 100 in like 1994, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite a while. More than 20 years ago.
We're still laughing at it now.
At Bart's antics. Good.
Alright, what about 2?
Oh, this one I have to read from my Simpsons notebook. Oh man, Ned spilled ink all over my poems. He's a real flat tire. I mean a cube, man. He's putting us on the train to Squaresville. That was Ned had a flashback scene that his dad was so tough on him and so mean, and it flashes to Ned's parents are a couple of beatniks, and his dad's wearing like a beret and a straight shirt and had poems and the ink spilled, and so it was pretty great.
I think it's funny how that comes up in a later episode when Flanders loses his mind, and it turns out that he's mad at his parents for being beatnik. Yeah, so they actually shout this back out to this later.
Yep, they do. It's pretty good. What about you?
Alright, so my second line is, that photo was taken right before I was shot in the back, which is strange because it was during a Bob Hope concert.
Good old Skinner.
So, he's showing Bart around his room, and there's a picture of him in Vietnam, and he's standing tall, and all the guys are looking up at him like they're plotting, they're like, oh,
Yep.
He was trying to get Joey to put on pants,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, Skinner.
Alright, well, that moves us into our scenes. What is your scene du jour?
It's a toss-up. What's your scene? And I'll come back to mine.
Okay, well, My scene is the Billy and the Clonosaurus scene. So, okay, Skinner's fired. He's at the Quickie Mart. Bart sees him and he says he's sorry for getting him fired. And then Skinner says, well, that's okay. It's giving me time to do what I've always wanted to do. Write the great American novel. Mine's about a futuristic amusement park where dinosaurs are brought back to life by cloning. And Apu's there listening to this, and he just completely dresses Skinner down for it. But Skinner's title is, I'm going to call it Billy and the Clonosaurus. And he's like, how could you? It's the worst title. You know, don't you know this has already been done? There's been movies. You know, he just goes on and on about it.
Definitely.
And then as it's over, Skinner's just defeated. He's like he's not going to write this book now. Thank you. Come again.
So you went with a Skinner scene, so I'm going to go with my other option for my favorite scene is the show and tell scene. And it starts off with Nelson, and he has a can of tomato soup or stewed tomatoes, and he's reading the ingredients on the back of the can. And it's an open can that he found probably along the route to school, on his walk to school, or in the trash or whatever, and that was his show and tell. Compared with Bart bringing Santa's Little Helper in, which gets the episode started and all the shenanigans afoot. And then Martin has a geode and no one cares because Santa's Little Helper is getting all the pets and all the love. And even adoration from Willie, who's looking in the window like, oh, puppy. So... I'll go with that scene.
I like it. I like how Mrs. Krabappel said, I look forward to you bringing that back next week or something like that to Nelson.
Because obviously he's used it before.
Yeah, he just keeps bringing this can to show and tell. Oh, man. All right, so we're into winners and losers. How do you want to do that this week?
Who's your winner?
My winner is all the children at Springfield Elementary, because they got Ned Flanders for principal. Because it started out, they were getting that surly-looking dude that they thought was going to be militant and rule him with an iron fist. And they're like, and then Ned Flanders, and he comes walking in, gives him, peanut butter cups and gets rid of detention for the honor system. I mean, they did pretty good. For that little time they had.
I mean, there was a little bit of chaos and such too, but
they enjoyed that.
They really did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep, it's true. I'm going to go. I kind of went with Flanders for mine because he was. He got to be principal. Which I think as head of PTA was something that he really was looking forward to, honestly. He was really, there was some line I don't think he wanted to put the pal back in Prince of Pal, so I put him down as my winner this episode, because he had a pretty good run as principal.
And even when he got fired, he didn't seem to care. He was just like, hey, go with God, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Flanders is a good one because he just takes every day in stride.
That's Flanders for you.
What about your loser?
My loser is Superintendent Chalmers for a couple of reasons, but mainly because he had to get crushed by a half-naked, greased-up Willie when he fell out of the ductwork in the gym. And that was number one. But then when Flanders is up there saying, I'm going to put the pal in principal, he's like, well, I'm going to put the super in superintendent. And the kids didn't laugh, and that really, bugged him. Yeah. So, and then the whole thing with didn't work out with Flanders. He had to rehire Skinner. Didn't really want to. I just figured he didn't have a good day. Yep.
I have a toss-up, and I cannot decide between my two, so I'm throwing them both out there. Martin, because he was in a cage for most of the time that Flanders was principal, and his water dish seemed to be empty a majority of the time. And then Apu, who probably edges Martin out a little bit because Apu and his cousin put in some gas pumps at the Quickie Mart, and when Skinner is on base and Bart comes to visit him, he redirects the missiles the testament missiles for practice aims, and they end up on the Quickie Mart, and that's a bad day for Apu. So I guess I'm gonna go with Apu overall.
Yeah, I'd say getting your Quickie Mart blown up and having the K land in the field of the base because
Yep.
it got blown that far away.
Right.
would make your day pretty bad.
To Fort
so, yeah.
Springfield.
Well, hopefully he had insurance, but even
Hopefully,
still.
who knows? Still a bad day. He was so excited about that.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to mention?
Nah, just fun times as always. 100th episode, like you said, it was a good one for sure.
So tune in next time for us to talk about episode 20 of season 5. Give it a watch if you'd like to before we do, and be ready with your comments, your favorite lines, your winners and losers. In the meantime, if you watch episode 19, which we just talked about, feel free to share some comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time,
Jiminy Jilkers!
I mean, thank y'all. Come again.